Let me share something with you. I'm a train enthusiast. I've been a train enthusiast my entire life, ever since I was a kid. People call us rail fans and they make fun of us. But man, I love it. I've been all over the world looking at trains. I know it sounds crazy, but my favorite type of train is the quarry train. Now allow me for a moment just to geek out, nerd out, and share with you the history of my family and why I love trains. You see, my great-grandfather, my grandfather, my father, all of us have worked on the rails. It's in my blood. I still have the old pictures of my great-grandfather, black and whites, him working on the railroad itself, particularly building out railroads for quarry trains. And my father raised me to be proud of our family's accomplishments and tradition. That's how I found myself being fascinated with trains. And of course, I know it's nerdy, but it's my first love. Well, by the time I made 19, my dad was sitting on the board of CSX. He decided he wanted to give me the ultimate birthday present, a ride on a rock train with the conductor. Now, if you don't know what a rock train is, don't get confused. It's not a train made of rocks. It's a train with open top carts that have rocks piled inside of them, basically delivering rocks from the quarry to their final destination. This particular train was going from Millville, West Virginia, to Bladenburg, Maryland. I remember it like it was yesterday. The excitement, the thrill of actually riding a train. Now, to the average person, it seems stupid. Who wants to ride on a train full of rocks? To me, it was tapping into my family's tradition. To me, it was more than just a train ride. It was me becoming like my great-grandfather. This happened back in 2013, August to be exact. The conductor/engineer was a guy named Nolan Fricks, a ginger with red hair and freckles. He told me to call him Red. Red could see the excitement on my face, and he acknowledged it by saying, "Kid, I never seen someone so excited about riding a damn rock train. It's the most boring job there is. It's slow and it passes like a snail walking on a log." But what Red didn't understand is that I knew that, and I didn't care. I had been playing with model train sets my entire life, and what he saw as a job, I saw as my passion. Anyway, I get boarded, we get to moving along, and I'm kind of interviewing him about the job, taking notes, asking him what's the best thing about his job. What's the worst thing about his job? What's the scariest thing about his job? And the thing that he was most passionate about was the irresponsibility of drivers around the railroad tracks. Red goes on to tell me story after story about teenagers deciding they're going to run across the railroad tracks at the last minute, kids riding bicycles across railroad tracks, people literally laying down on the tracks and trying to dodge his train at the last second. Talk about pissing a man off. Red is there looking at me with fire in his eyes saying, "Listen, people are irresponsible with their lives. You do not play around train tracks. There's no way for me to slow this thing down. This is not a car. This is thousands of tons of metal moving, and it won't stop for anything." Now, I'm not sure if it was the fact that I was asking too many questions, or maybe he was just used to riding in silence, but it got to this point to where there was a little tension between the two of us. And looking back on the whole situation, now I really understand it. Putting myself in Red's shoes, not only do you have this overzealous, nerdy-ass kid riding along with you, but this overzealous, nerdy kid is connected to somebody on the board of directors of the entire company. So basically, you feel like your job and your whole family's future is riding on this one trip. Well, the reality of the matter was, it wasn't. I was just there along for the ride. But nonetheless, this contention starts between the two of us. I'm talking about thick and palpable, like you can cut it with a knife. And so I try and smooth things over. I ask Red about his family, and he says he has 2 sons, one in high school, one in elementary school. I ask him about his wife, and he tells me that him and his wife are having problems. We're there, going along, making small talk. Things start to get a tad bit better. And then Red opens back up and starts sharing more information. He starts off by complaining about the fact that they changed the speed limit for his train. He used to be able to go 25 miles an hour through populated areas, but now he's got to drop down to 10 miles an hour because of the crazy-ass people who refuse to stay off the train tracks. He stays on that point for a little while, bitching, moaning, and complaining. Then he goes quiet, and we ride for about an hour, hour and a half in complete silence. Me staring out of the window, enjoying the ride, and him sitting there looking agitated and aggravated. Then the sun starts to go down. And let me say this to you. When that sun started going down, his entire personality changed. Have you ever been around a person and they just all of a sudden start acting weird? That's what Red started to do. I'm talking about all of a sudden, Out of the blue, the sun goes down, he starts acting weird. And I'm not talking about to catch a predator weird here. I'm talking about quiet, zoning out, leaving his body, kind of like dazed out, psychopathic, weird. We're riding along, he says, listen, there's a stretch up here where I'm going to try and speed up. I'm going to go more than 25 miles an hour because I want to get through this stretch before any red signals come in. Now, for those of you who don't know anything about trains, red signals means you need to stop wherever the hell you are on the tracks. And they could happen for a number of reasons. There could be an accident up ahead on the roadway, or they could be loading a train car up ahead. There's a plethora of reasons why you could get a red signal. But looking at Red's face, he was seriously concerned about getting a red signal and being forced to stop this train in this stretch of area. So I asked him, I said, Red, why are you so worried about getting a red signal? He says, I'm not worried for me, but I'm worried for you. Now get this, riding along, he's speeding the train up, and he looks and he says, now I'm gonna do this, but I'm hoping you're not the type of kid that when this is all over, you're gonna go to your dad and tell him what I was doing. I'm doing it for a reason. And I tell him, listen, don't worry about that. I'm just here to enjoy the ride. So now we're going a little bit faster than we're supposed to. And over the radio comes the red signal. So now we need to come to a stop. And right here is when all the freaking weirdness gets started. That train comes to a stop. And the next words that come out of Red's mouth are the only words he spoke for the next 45 minutes. He says, while we're dealing with this red signal, no matter what you hear, no matter what you see, do not go outside this train. And then he just stands there and stares straight ahead. Now pause right here in the story, and I'm going to try my best to make you understand what I was looking at this moment in time. He's on my left-hand side. I'm on the right-hand side. He is sitting there staring straight forward after those words leave out of his mouth like a freaking robot android. I'm telling you, I don't think I saw the man blinking. You could tell that he was breathing. You can tell that he was alive, but he sat there and looked straight ahead like he was an android. Did not make any sense to me at all. None whatsoever. 2 minutes pass. I'm trying to talk to him. He's saying nothing. 3 minutes pass. Nothing. 5 minutes pass. Nothing. 10 minutes pass with me talking directly to this man and he is not responding to me. It is almost like he has slipped into some type of freaking coma, and now I'm starting to freak out when we get a signal across the radio saying livestock spotted. Now pause right here and let me do a little bit of explaining for those of you who have no clue what the hell I'm talking about. Red signals means you have to stop on the track. Livestock spotted could be anything. It could be a deer, it could be a cattle, it could be anything that's an animal that's alive that's on the track. And we're sitting there stopped and we hear livestock spotted. And to make sure you understand everything that I'm saying to you and that you're listening to me, he, Red, is still sitting there staring straight ahead like he's in a freaking coma. Listen, I'm going to tell you the moral of this story before we get to the end of it. And you see, over time, I've learned something about people. See, there's different type of people on this planet, and we all go through these phases. You know, there's people who are naive like me. Back in those days, I was a young, naive kid. I had my preconceived notions of how life was, and being on a train and being a conductor and an engineer was just the best job on the planet. Then there's other people who are influenced by evil spirits. They're just messed up evil people. And then there are selfish people. We've all seen a selfish person. Everything is about them. Look at me. Ha ha ha. I'm the best. Bada bing, bada boom. I come to realize after this experience that I was a very naive person. I had my belief system as to how things work was not grounded in reality whatsoever. So now I'm there. He's in a coma. The lights are on in front of the train. I'm on my side of the train when I start to hear what sounds like something running on the gravel outside. And I need you to understand, this is loud running. If you ever heard a train sitting there idle, not moving, it makes a lot of noise. This running outside on the gravel next to the tracks was loud. So now I crack open the door on my side, stick my head out and look towards the back of the train. But when I look outside, it's what I like to call pure darkness. Like you can't see in this darkness. We're talking about the type of darkness that your eyes have to adjust to in order to see. I call it pure darkness. So I'm there staring into pure darkness, trying to see what is running along the side of the train, and it sounds like it's going away from me at first. But the longer I stand there staring into that darkness, you can hear it change direction and start coming towards me. So now I hear this sound, running heavy footsteps fast, and not like a human's footsteps that go pop, pop, pop. This is pop, 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 pop. Like the feet are hitting the ground way faster than anybody's feet could hit the ground. That's when I feel this gust of wind go past me. And I need you to listen to me. It's a gust of wind. I see nothing. It's just this gust of wind, whoosh, goes past me. However, as that gust of wind passed by me, it reminded me of being like on the side of the road when a car drove by. Something massive had ran right past me. So I decided the best thing for me to do is to slide this door closed and lock it. And thank God that I did that, because as it's sliding and locking, over the sound of that door sliding and locking, I hear what sounds like something coming to a sliding stop in the gravel. That like its feet slid. So now I'm back inside looking forward. Red is over there still in his coma looking forward. And that's when I see this thing walk into the light, and it looks like the ugliest, most hideous dog-faced monster that I've ever seen. I've seen photos that people have of like Dogman, and it's this stylized AI art where it's kind of like this beautiful, sexy looking werewolf thing, like something off a movie. Hell no, this didn't look like that. This thing had these big pointy ears that had white on the inside of them with hair coming out of the ears. It had this big old stupid looking eyes, like it could see through you. It had a short snout, but it was twisted, and these big ugly teeth. And it just looked like a genetically modified monster. Like somebody took a dog and messed up when they were making a dog. And that's what it looked like. It was horrific. It was terrifying. It was scary. And it was right there in front of me. I'm talking about pure black fur that sucked up light. And it's looking at me, and it's looking at Red. And it looks at me, and it looks at Red. Then it crosses the tracks to the side of the train where Red is, and it stares right at him. And listen to me, I'm not talking about stare and look away. Its eyes didn't dart right to left. It's looking at Red like Red owes it money. Completely ignores the fact that I'm there. And the entire time, his eyes are wide open. He's staring forward. And I swear to you, I think this man's consciousness had left his body. While I was sitting there, I realized this cannot possibly be the first time that Red experienced anything like this, because he was too calm. It was like he was not there. Like he was just a shell of a human being. His spirit, his soul, his mind, everything was gone. The only thing sitting there was a body. This goes on for the next 10 minutes. It's there, staring at him, breathing hard, slightly growling like it's trying to get a reaction out of him. And he does not move. I dare to say to you, I felt like this man was holding his breath the entire time, but I knew he couldn't have been because I saw his chest moving up and down. Pause. Stop. I'm a kid, 19 years old. My whole life, all I wanted to do was ride on a train. I need you to understand, this is my first train ride on my dream train, and I'm sitting here, this man is in a coma, and there's a monster outside of the train. I'm not even going to explain to you how that fucked me up. But what I'm going to say to you is this. Old Red didn't wink, didn't move, didn't do anything. Finally, it turns and runs away. Now, let me say this about turning and running away, because people make it seem like these things have to build up speed when they run. No, it was there. It turned its head, and it was gone. Kind of like the Flash is in the movies. Gone. Took off running. And here's the next thing I need you to understand. The red signal wasn't removed for like another 15, 20 minutes. So the rest of the time, I'm sitting there in that train, and Red is not saying a word. He's straight up comatose, sitting there like he's in a hospital bed. Then they give us the signal telling us we can move. And this really freaked me out, because the minute they gave us the signal to tell us we can move, he starts talking again. For a moment, I was really freaked out. Not by the fact that I saw the monster. That was freaky enough. But by his reaction, because it was almost like someone flipped the switch and the robot turned back on, and he just starts talking like everything that happened over the past 15, 20 minutes didn't fucking happen. And I was not accepting that. I said, Red, I know you had to see what I just saw. What was that? And his reply was what stopped me from being naive the rest of my life. He said, listen, son, there's things in life that you cannot allow to sink into your reality. There's things in life that you just can't accept, because once you accept those things, you will never be able to do your job. He says, I saw what you saw. I've seen it multiple times, but I refuse to accept the reality that it's there and that it can do me something. I go on to explain to him, well, it was there. He says, I don't care what you believe. I choose to believe that that's not real. Well, ladies and gentlemen, let me say something to you. That was real. And I don't give a damn how Red felt about it. I don't care how Red justified it, but that thing that I saw and he saw was real. And I believe, this is my personal belief, I believe that Red has just found a way to completely whitewash it out of his mind. I really believe while he was there, he was having an outer body experience. Did he see it? Yes, but he wasn't inside of himself seeing it. He had went somewhere in his mind and hid from that in real time. He hid away from it because the rest of the ride, he never mentioned it. He never talked about it. Nothing else. He just blocked it out. But me, I couldn't block it out. Never have been able to block it out. It changed my whole career path. I wanted to be a train conductor and engineer. No, sir. Nope. I'm in operations management. I don't get on a train. I don't go nowhere near the train tracks. I coordinate things. Don't go out there. Nope, not me.